My name is Kimberly Motley. I'm an international litigator. I grew up in Milwaukee. I grew up actually on 41st and Flores in the Berryland housing projects. My father is African American, my mother is Korean. My father was in the military. He met my mother in Seoul, Korea. I went to a Catholic school, and so I was in this school as the only Asian or Black kid at the school with my brothers and sisters. But our neighborhood was very urban, which I loved that. I loved jumping from different sort of ethnic spheres within my life. My neighborhood always sort of was a work in progress. It was very gritty, but good. A lot of really good people that lived in that neighborhood, but there are issues like there are in many neighborhoods in Milwaukee, and frankly, I'm really glad that I grew up in the neighborhood that I did grow up in, because I felt like that gave me a very strong foundation of what the world really looks like. Being biracial, I think, also helped me learn to deal with different cultures and appreciate different cultures, different ethnicities, different nationalities. Because I was very proud of sort of my flavor as a person. When I went to college, I wanted to be a DJ. Like, that's what I was focused on, is I love music, and I just love, when I was in high school, I did a lot of DJing in Whitefish Bay, like for the lunch program, and I sort of do it as a hobby a little bit now. But I sort of feel like that's what law is for me. Litigation to me is an art form. It's my craft. What I do is I mix laws and I create a playlist of laws for my cases. Legal practice, cultural aspects, religious ideologies within my practice of law, and also try to add in humanity. So I'm a different type of DJ. I'm like a DJ of law as opposed to a DJ of music. After I graduated from Marquette, then I started working at the Racine Public Defender's Office, and I worked there for 2.5 years. And then I transferred to the Milwaukee Public Defender's Office and worked there for about 3 years. I went out to lunch with a colleague of mine who said she had a friend in Afghanistan that was training and mentoring prosecutors in Afghanistan to build up their rule of law program. Found out the salary we paid very well. It was over triple what I was earning as a public defender. I decided to take it. I didn't even have a passport. So it was my first time leaving the US, and then I went to Afghanistan from 2008 to 2009 to train Afghan defense attorneys and to help build up and somewhat create their legal aid program within the country. I've been here for 5 years. I've seen a lot of nasty things. Do the Afghan laws not mean anything? Or you just do whatever? You can't just make up laws. I remember being on the bus from the plane going to the terminal, and the bus had like all these bullet holes in it. It just was kind of like, okay, here we go. And I remember that very vividly. Like, we're just kind of like, okay, now we left Dubai, it's a different thing now. Like everyone's sort of getting their armor on. And I remember that feeling, of what have I gotten myself into? In 2009, I was pretty disenfranchised by the program. I had been there for a year. And so it was a combination of me missing court, of me not liking the program or the machine that I was a part of, which I thought was frankly very corrupt in a lot of ways, and me being extremely curious. That made me decide that I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna start representing people in Afghanistan. And to be honest, when I first started practicing there, I was only representing English-speaking foreigners. I was doing pretty well with those cases and winning basically, and getting people out of prison. And so then I had Afghans sort of coming to me asking me to represent them. And I was frankly a little bit hesitant at first because I wasn't sure how that was going to be received, especially in representing Afghan women. I represented women who were charged with rape, who had been raped, they were charged with adultery. And I know culturally, unfortunately, it's accepted in some circles in Afghanistan that if you're raped, you should go to prison or be stoned to death. So I was concerned about how people would take me as an American woman representing Afghans on very culturally sensitive issues. Afghanistan has great laws. The problem is that people just don't use the laws, and that's my whole thing about justness. I have this concept of justness, which is sort of using the laws in the way that they're meant to be used to protect. I consider myself a legal archaeologist, where I sort of uncover laws that have not been used and use those laws to the benefit of my client. In my practice, I do things that I know a lot of women don't do. Men will shake my hand. They don't do that to women in Afghanistan. I will look men in the eye and have a conversation with them. Everyone is not hunky-dory with me practicing the way that I do, but sometimes there's threats. Sometimes there was a grenade. It didn't go off. Sometimes there's issues, but I just choose not to really focus on those things. Who else is going to do it? I mean, why not? I think it's important. I think it's important to the legal profession. I think it's important for my kids, for their future. I want my kids to travel. I want them to see how things work in different countries. Because of Afghanistan, my practice has grown to where I represent clients on every continent except for Antarctica. I think a lot of people don't understand that the law is theirs. Like, to me, the law is a tangible item. And I try to give them this item, the law. I try to give people their power. I see law as a very powerful thing. And so it just is something that I feel like right now I'm supposed to do. Maybe 5 years from now that may change, but what I do is very much part of my personality and who I am.